It's Trump time. Hey everybody. Welcome back to the channel. So let's talk about a guy who, you might have heard of him. Donald J. Trump. Yeah, that guy. He's probably one of the most talked about, tweeted about, and meme-ified presidents in all of United States history. Love him, or well, the other thing. You can't deny he's made some serious headlines. It feels like every day there was something new, something wild, something that made you go, wait, what? But here's the thing, with all the noise, all the rallies, all the late-night tweets, how much do you know about him? Beyond the big, bold persona, there's a whole universe of details, quirks, and just plain unbelievable stories that often get overlooked. We're talking about the kind of stuff that makes you lean in a little closer, raise an eyebrow, and maybe even chuckle, regardless of where you stand politically. It's a wild ride, people. So, get ready, because we've dug deep, we've sifted through the stories, and we're about to blow your mind. From billion-dollar deals to bizarre hobbies, here are 101 facts about President Trump you probably never knew. Let's dive in. This is gonna be huge. You won't believe some of these. Seriously, grab your popcorn. Fact number 1. Born on Flag Day. Cue the fireworks. Alright, first up, get this folks. Donald Trump was born on June 14th, 1946. Now that date might not immediately ring a bell for everyone, but June 14th is Flag Day in the United States. Can you believe that? The day we celebrate the good old stars and stripes is the same day the future 45th president made his grand entrance into the world. Talk about a patriotic birthday. You can just imagine little baby Donald wrapped in a tiny flag blanket, right? Or maybe not. It's one of those little coincidences that makes you go, interesting. I mean, what are the odds? You can't make this stuff up. It's like the universe was already hinting at a future in American public life. Or maybe it just means his birthday parties always had a very clear theme. Red, white, and blue cake, anyone? It definitely adds a little extra pizzazz to his origin story, you gotta admit. Flag Day, who knew? Fact number 2, the 4th Trump kid on the block. Okay, moving on. So, we all know the Trump family is, well, A. But where does Donald fit into the sibling lineup? Was he the oldest, the baby, the middle child looking for attention? Drumroll, please. He's the 4th of 5 children in the Trump clan. That's right, number 4. So he had older siblings to look up to, or maybe compete with, and a younger sibling to, be the older brother to. Imagine those family dinners with Fred Trump, the patriarch, at the head of the table, and all those future power players around. Being the 4th of 5, you've got to find your way to stand out, right? Maybe that's where some of that famous Trump bravado started to brew. You've got Marianne, Fred Jr., Elizabeth, then Donald, and finally Robert. It's quite the lineup. It just goes to show, even future presidents have to fight for the last piece of chicken at the dinner table, or in their case, maybe the last piece of prime real estate. Fact number 3, Dad was a real estate mogul too. Now where did Donald get his knack for building things? Well, it seems the apple doesn't fall far from the skyscraper. His father, Fred Trump, was a pretty big deal himself in the New York City real estate world. We're talking a major developer, building and managing apartment complexes out in Queens and Brooklyn. He wasn't just building sandcastles, folks, he was shaping neighborhoods. So, you can imagine young Donald growing up around blueprints, construction sites, and talk of deals. It's like if your dad was a famous chef, you'd probably learn a thing or two about cooking, right? Fred Trump laid a pretty serious foundation, literally and figuratively, for his son's future empire. He was known for building affordable housing, which is an interesting contrast to some of the luxury properties Donald later became famous for. It's a classic story of the next generation, taking the family business in a new, and in this case, much flashier direction. Alright, picture this. You're 13 years old. What are you doing? Probably trading baseball cards, trying to figure out algebra, maybe getting into a little bit of harmless trouble. Well, for Donald Trump, age 13 meant a big change of scenery. He was sent off to military school. That's right, the New York Military Academy. Talk about a wake-up call. No more sleeping in, I bet. This wasn't just a casual decision. It's often described as a pretty formative experience for him. His parents reportedly sent him there to instill some discipline. Imagine going from regular school to marching in formation, shining your shoes till you can see your reflection, and all that. Yes sir, no sir, business. It's a stark contrast to the life he'd lead later, but you can see how that kind of environment might shape someone's personality and leadership style down the line. Definitely a big turning point for a young teenager. So he's at this military academy, right? And clearly it made an impression, a big one. Because Trump himself once said, and get this quote, that attending the New York Military Academy gave him more training than most soldiers. Wow, that's a pretty bold statement, wouldn't you say? He really felt that experience was incredibly impactful, almost like real military service. Now, I'm sure actual soldiers might have a thing or two to say about that comparison, but it shows you how highly he valued that period of his life. He saw it as a crucible, something that forged him. Whether it was the discipline, the structure, or just learning how to navigate a tough environment, he clearly believes it was more intense and beneficial than what many people in the actual armed forces experience. It's one of those Trump quotes that really makes you stop and think, okay, that's his perspective. Love it or leave it, that's what he said. Okay, this one surprised me, folks. Before the real estate, before The Apprentice, before the White House, Donald Trump apparently had a little flirtation with a different kind of spotlight. He briefly, and I mean briefly, considered pursuing a career in film. Can you imagine? Donald Trump, movie star? What kind of roles would he have played? The tough-talking tycoon? The romantic lead? The possibilities are endless and kind of hilarious to think about. He even reportedly looked into film school at the University of Southern California after college. It makes you wonder what Hollywood would have been like with him as a major player behind or in front of the camera. Maybe he would have given Schwarzenegger a run for his money in the action hero department. Or perhaps he'd be producing blockbuster hits. It's a fun what-if scenario. Ultimately, he chose the concrete jungle over the Hollywood hills. But it's a fascinating little detour in his life story, and the Oscar goes to Donald Trump, just kidding. Or am I? Fact number 7, trading up, Fordham to Wharton, big league. So after that brief flirtation with film school dreams, let's talk about his actual college path. He started out his higher education journey at Fordham University in the Bronx. A good school, no doubt. He spent 2 years there. But then, an opportunity came knocking. Or maybe he went knocking on its door. He decided to transfer, and not just to any school, folks. He made the move to the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. Now, for those who don't know, Wharton is one of the most prestigious business schools in the entire world. We're talking Ivy League, big-time finance, the whole shebang. This was a significant step up, a clear signal of his ambitions in the business world. It's like going from playing in the minor leagues to getting called up to the majors. He was clearly aiming high from early on, and getting into Wharton was a major power move. Fact number 8, graduating with an economics degree, smarty pants. And he didn't just get into Wharton, he graduated. In 1968, Donald J. Trump officially became an alumnus of the Wharton School, armed with a Bachelor of Science degree in economics. So, all those deals, all that talk about numbers and negotiations, he's got the academic credentials to back it up, or at least a degree from a place that teaches it at the highest level. Economics, folks. That's the study of supply and demand, markets, and making money. Sounds pretty on brand, right? Graduating from such a prestigious institution is no small feat, and it undoubtedly equipped him with a certain understanding of the financial world he was about to dive headfirst into. It's another piece of the puzzle that makes up the Trump persona. He wasn't just relying on family connections, he was also hitting the books, learning the theories that underpin the world of big business. So next time you hear him talking about the economy, remember he's got that Wharton degree hanging on the wall somewhere. Probably a very nice gold-framed one. Fact number 9, no alcohol for this guy, and a sad reason why. Alright, here's a personal fact that might surprise some of you. Donald Trump doesn't drink alcohol, not a drop, no beer, no wine, no fancy cocktails. And it's not just a preference, there's a very serious and sad family reason behind it. His older brother, Fred Trump Jr., or Freddie, struggled with alcoholism, and tragically passed away from the disease at a young age. That had a profound impact on Donald. He's spoken about it openly, saying he learned by watching his brother's difficulties. It's a powerful reminder that behind the public figures, there are often very personal stories and influences that shape their choices. So when you see him at state dinners or celebrations, he'll be the one with the Diet Coke, which we'll get to later. It's a testament to the impact his brother's life and struggles had on him, leading him to a lifetime of abstinence from alcohol, a very personal and defining choice. Fact number 10, German and Scottish roots, a heritage mix. Ever wonder about Donald Trump's ancestry? Where did the Trumps and the McLeods, his mother's side, come from? Well, it's a European mix. He's got German roots on his father's side and Scottish roots on his mother's side. So, a bit of that German precision and a dash of Scottish fire, perhaps. It's always interesting to look at someone's heritage. It's like a little window into their family history. His paternal grandfather, Friedrich Trump, emigrated from Germany in the late 19th century, and his mother, Mary Ann MacLeod, hailed from the Isle of Lewis in Scotland. So, when you think about it, he's a second-generation American on his mom's side and third on his dad's. It's that classic American immigrant story, just a couple of generations back. Whether it's lederhosen or kilts in the family closet, who knows? but it's a blend of cultures that contributes to the man we know today. Pretty cool, huh? Fact number 11, the Grand Hyatt. His first big NYC splash. Okay, let's talk business. Every big tycoon has that one deal, the one that puts them on the map. For Donald Trump, one of his earliest and most significant breakthroughs was the Grand Hyatt Hotel in Manhattan, right next to Grand Central Terminal. This was back in 1978. He took a struggling old hotel, the Commodore, and transformed it. We're talking a major renovation, a sleek glass facade. It was a big, bold move. This wasn't just a paint job, folks. He partnered with the Hyatt organization, navigated complex city approvals, and secured financing. It was a high-stakes project that really announced his arrival as a major player in New York real estate. The success of the Grand Hyatt deal gave him incredible momentum and a reputation as someone who could get big things done in a tough city. It was the launching pad for so many of the iconic Trump buildings that would follow. Talk about making an entrance. Fact number 12, billionaire, yeah, but not just from TV. So we all know Donald Trump is rich, right? Like really rich, billionaire rich, but sometimes people think, oh, he made all his money from The Apprentice or licensing his name. And while those things definitely brought in a ton of cash, let's be clear, he became a billionaire primarily through good old-fashioned real estate, buying, selling, developing. That was the bedrock of his fortune. The branding, the TV shows, the golf courses, those often came later, building on the wealth and reputation he first established as a developer and property magnate. He was flipping buildings and making deals long before he was firing people in the boardroom on national television. So, while the Trump name is now a global brand, it's important to remember that the original engine of that wealth was brick and mortar, sky-high towers, and savvy real estate investments. He was playing Monopoly for real and winning. Fact number 13, Trump Tower's got a waterfall. Indoors, let's talk about his most famous building maybe, Trump Tower on 5th Avenue in New York City. It's iconic, it's gold, it's got a giant waterfall in the lobby. Yes, you heard that right. Built in 1983, this luxurious skyscraper isn't just about fancy apartments and high-end shops. Inside its grand 5-story atrium, there's a massive 60-foot-tall waterfall cascading down a marble wall. How cool is that? It's one of those over-the-top signature Trump touches. You walk in and bam, a giant indoor waterfall. It's definitely a statement piece. Most buildings just have a fountain, maybe some plants. Trump went for a full-on aquatic spectacle. It adds to that sense of opulence and drama that Trump Tower is known for. I bet it's a popular spot for selfies. Can you imagine the maintenance on that thing? But hey, it's Trump Tower, go big or go home, right? Fact number 14, Trump steaks, Trump vodka, Trump, the game? You know the name Trump is everywhere, but did you know just how everywhere? His name has been licensed to over 50 different products and services over the years, and some of them are pretty unexpected. We're talking Trump steaks. Yes, actual steaks with the Trump brand. There was Trump vodka. Success distilled, the bottle said. And who could forget Trump the Game, a board game from the 80s where you try to become a billionaire. It's a testament to his branding genius, or perhaps his willingness to put his name on almost anything for a price. There was also Trump ice-bottled water, Trump suits, Trump mattresses, Trump chocolate, the list goes on and on. It's like he thought, if it exists, can I put my name on it? Some were hits, some were... Well, let's just say you probably can't buy Trump steaks at your local supermarket anymore. But it shows the sheer breadth of his branding empire. Wild. Fact number 15, The Apprentice Ka-ching, over $200 million, you're fired. 2 words that became a national catchphrase, all thanks to the hit reality TV show The Apprentice and later, The Celebrity Apprentice. Donald Trump wasn't just the star, he was the boardroom boss, the ultimate decider. And boy did that show pay off. We're talking big money, folks. Over its 14-season run, it's estimated that Trump earned more than $200 million from the show. That's a whole lot of your hireds for his bank account. Think about it. That's a staggering amount of money from one TV franchise. It not only massively boosted his public profile, making him a household name in a way his real estate empire hadn't, but it also lined his pockets very, very nicely. It transformed him from a New York real estate guy into a global television personality. And that $200 million? That's more than many movie stars make in their entire careers. The power of reality TV, eh? It certainly worked out for him. Fact number 16, King of the Pageants, Miss Universe and more. Beyond buildings and boardrooms, Donald Trump also ventured into the world of glitz, glamour, and sashes. For nearly 2 decades, from 1996 to 2015, he owned the Miss Universe organization. That means he was the big boss behind not just Miss Universe but also Miss USA and Miss Teen USA pageants. Can you picture him backstage making sure all the tiaras were perfectly polished? It was another high-profile venture that kept his name in the headlines and associated him with beauty and international events. He often attended the pageants and was very involved in their production. It's kind of a surprising side hustle for a real estate tycoon, but then again, Trump always had a flair for showmanship. He eventually sold the organization, but for a good chunk of time, if you wanted to be crowned Miss Universe, you were dealing with a company owned by Donald J. Trump, Sparkly. Fact number 17. Trump shuttle, taking to the skies, briefly. Buildings, pageants. What about transportation? Yep, he tried that too. Back in 1989, Donald Trump launched his very own luxury airline called Trump Shuttle. The idea was to offer a high-end flying experience, primarily connecting cities like New York, Boston, and Washington, D.C. Think Maplewood veneer interiors, chrome seatbelt buckles, and gourmet meals. Fancy. He bought the fleet and landing rights from Eastern Airlines Shuttle. However, like some other Trump ventures, this one didn't quite soar to long-term success. The airline industry is notoriously tough, and Trump Shuttle faced financial headwinds. After a few years of operation and struggling with debt, he eventually lost control of it in 1992. It was a bold attempt to bring the Trump brand of luxury to the skies, but it proved to be a turbulent ride. Still, for a while there you could fly Trump. Fact number 18. Owner of a pro football team, Go Generals, from the runway to the gridiron. Donald Trump also dipped his toes into the world of professional sports ownership. In the mid-1980s, he owned the New Jersey Generals, a team in the United States Football League, or USFL. This was a spring football league that aimed to compete with the NFL, and Trump, true to form, made a big splash. He signed star players like Herschel Walker and Doug Flutie, bringing a lot of attention to the league. He was a very hands-on owner, often seen on the sidelines and making headlines with his ambitious plans for the USFL, including a push to move the league's schedule to the fall to directly challenge the NFL. That move ultimately contributed to the USFL's demise after just a few seasons. But for a time, Donald Trump was a pro football team owner, shaking things up in the sports world. Imagine him drawing up plays. We're gonna build a wall of linemen. Now let's talk about a word that often comes up with Trump bankruptcy. It's true that some of his companies have faced financial difficulties. Specifically, his hotel and casino businesses filed for Chapter 11 corporate bankruptcy 6 times. That sounds like a lot, right? But here's a crucial distinction he always makes. These were corporate bankruptcies, not personal bankruptcy. What does that mean? Well, Chapter 11 allows a company to restructure its debts and continue operating rather than just shutting down. It's a tool businesses sometimes use to get back on their feet. Trump himself never filed for personal bankruptcy, meaning his own personal finances weren't declared bankrupt. He often frames these corporate bankruptcies as strategic business moves, using the laws to his advantage to renegotiate deals. It's a complex part of his business history, and one that his supporters and critics view very differently. You're fired. It's arguably one of the most famous catchphrases of the 21st century, all thanks to The Apprentice. It was so popular, so instantly recognizable, that Donald Trump actually tried to trademark it. Can you imagine owning the rights to tell someone you're fired, and potentially getting a royalty every time someone else used it in a certain context? That's some next-level branding. He filed trademark applications for the phrase for use in games, clothing, and casino services. While he had success with some specific applications, like for casino services, a broader claim on the common phrase itself for all uses was more challenging. Still, the fact that he even attempted it shows his incredible business savvy and his understanding of the power of a good catchphrase. It went from a reality TV show moment to a genuine pop culture phenomenon. Only Trump. Before he became the Republican president, Donald Trump's political affiliations were a bit of a journey, shall we say. He wasn't always a locked-in member of one party. Get this, he registered as a Republican first back in the 80s. Then he switched to the Reform Party, then became a Democrat for a while, then registered as an independent. And finally, he came back to the Republican Party before his presidential run. Ooh, that's a lot of switching. It's like he was trying on different political hats to see which one fit best, or perhaps which one offered the best path at different times. His critics might say it shows a lack of consistent ideology, while his supporters might see it as being pragmatic or evolving his views. Whatever the reason, his political registration history is definitely not a straight line. It adds another layer to his unconventional path to the presidency. He certainly kept everyone guessing. Fact number 22, presidential dreams, hinted back in '87. So, when did this whole President Trump idea even start? You might think it was just before his 2016 run, but the seeds were planted much, much earlier. Way back in 1987, Donald Trump first hinted at the possibility of running for president. He even took out full-page newspaper ads criticizing U.S. foreign policy and spent nearly $100,000 to visit New Hampshire, a key early primary state, to test the waters. He didn't end up running then, or in several other instances where his name was floated like in 2000 for the Reform Party. But it shows that the ambition, or at least the idea of it, was simmering for decades. It wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment decision in 2015, he'd been thinking about it, talking about it, and occasionally dipping his toe into the political pool for a long, long time. Talk about playing the long game, long. Fact number 23, the escalator ride, an iconic campaign launch. Fast forward to June 2015, the moment Donald Trump officially threw his hat in the ring for the 2016 presidential election. And how did he make his grand entrance? By slowly, and I mean slowly, descending a golden escalator in the atrium of Trump Tower. With Neil Young's Rockin' in the Free World playing, though Young later objected, it became one of the most iconic and talked about campaign announcements ever. It was pure Trump, dramatic, a little bit surreal, and completely unforgettable. People were watching, news cameras were rolling, and whether you loved it or were baffled by it, you couldn't ignore it. That escalator ride perfectly symbolized his unconventional approach to politics. He wasn't doing things the old-fashioned way, he was making a show of it right from day one. And that escalator? It's probably now a historic landmark in some people's minds. Fact number 24. MAGA slogan? Reagan used it first, make America great again. The four words that defined Donald Trump's 2016 campaign. That red hat with the white letters became instantly recognizable worldwide. But here's a fun fact. Trump wasn't the first presidential candidate to use that slogan. Any guesses who might have coined it earlier? It was none other than Ronald Reagan, the Gipper himself, back in his 1980 presidential campaign. Reagan's campaign used "Let's make America great again." So Trump's version was a slight variation, but the core sentiment was definitely there. It's interesting how slogans can be recycled and repurposed for different times and different candidates. Trump, who often expressed admiration for Reagan, clearly knew a powerful message when he saw one. He even trademarked his version. It just goes to show, sometimes the oldies are the goodies, even in political slogans. Fact number 25, oldest president elected at the time. When Donald Trump was sworn in as the 45th president of the United States in January 2017, he made history in a few ways. One of them, his age. At 70 years old, he became the oldest person ever elected to their first term as U.S. president. That record had previously been held by Ronald Reagan, who was 69 when he first took office. So, Trump edged him out by a year. It's pretty remarkable when you think about it. Taking on what many consider the toughest job in the world at an age when most people are thinking about retirement. It definitely challenged the conventional wisdom about age and the presidency. Of course, that record has since been broken by Joe Biden, but at the time it was a significant milestone. It just goes to show, age ain't nothing but a number, especially when you're running for the highest office in the land. Fact number 26, impeached twice. A historic first, yeah, not the good kind. Alright, this next one is a biggie in the history books. During his single term in office, Donald Trump holds the unique distinction of being impeached by the House of Representatives not once, but twice. That's a first in all of U.S. presidential history. No other president has faced that. The first impeachment was in 2019, and the second came in 2021, just days before he left office. Impeachment is a very serious process, essentially when the House brings charges against a president, accusing them of high crimes and misdemeanors. It's kind of like an indictment. Whether you agree with the reasons or not, the fact that it happened twice is a significant and controversial part of his presidential legacy. It led to incredibly polarized debates and dominated the news cycle for weeks on end both times. Definitely not a record anyone sets out to achieve. Fact number 27, acquitted both times, the Senate said not guilty. So after being impeached by the House, twice, what happens next? Well, the case goes to the Senate for a trial. And in both instances, Donald Trump was acquitted by the Senate. This means that while the House voted to impeach him, the Senate did not vote to convict him and remove him from office. To convict, you need a 2/3 majority in the Senate, which is a very high bar. In his first impeachment trial in early 2020, and his second in early 2021, which actually happened after he'd left office, the Senate votes fell short of that 2/3 requirement. So, despite the historic nature of 2 impeachments, he was never convicted. It's a crucial part of the story. The House says guilty, the Senate says not guilty in terms of removal. These proceedings highlighted the deep political divisions in the country, that's for sure. Fact number 28, Twitter King, 88 million followers, then poof, oh Twitter, or X, as it's called now. For President Trump, it wasn't just a social media platform, it was his megaphone, his direct line to the public, his way of bypassing the traditional media, and boy did he use it. At its peak, his Twitter account, @RealDonaldTrump, had over 88 million followers. That's like the entire population of Germany following his every 280-character thought. Incredible reach. He tweeted about policy, he tweeted about his opponents, he tweeted about cable news, he tweeted early in the morning, he tweeted late at night. It was a constant stream of consciousness that captivated and sometimes infuriated millions. Then, in January 2021, following the events at the US Capitol, Twitter permanently suspended his account, citing risk of further incitement to violence. From 88 million followers to 0, just like that. A truly modern political saga. Fact number 29. No politics, no military, first prez like it. Here's another way Donald Trump broke the mold when he became president. He was the first person to be elected to the US presidency without any prior experience in government or the military. Think about it, almost every other president had been a governor, a senator, a congressman, a general, or held some other high-ranking public office. Trump came straight from the world of business and reality television. That was a huge part of his appeal for many voters. They saw him as an outsider, someone who wasn't part of the establishment, and could bring a fresh perspective to Washington. His supporters loved that he wasn't a career politician. His critics, on the other hand, worried that his lack of experience would be a detriment. Either way, it was a completely unprecedented path to the Oval Office, shattering a long-standing tradition in American politics. Fact number 30. Lost in 2020, but still a political force. So after a whirlwind 4 years, Donald Trump ran for re-election in 2020 against Joe Biden. It was another incredibly intense and closely watched election. Ultimately, he lost that bid for a second term. But, and this is a big but, his influence on American politics didn't just vanish. Far from it. He remains an incredibly dominant and vocal force, especially within the Republican Party. Even out of office, he holds rallies, endorses candidates, and his opinions still carry enormous weight with a large segment of voters. He's teased future political ambitions, and the media still hangs on his every word. It's pretty rare for a former president who lost a re-election bid to maintain such a powerful grip on their party and on national discourse. Whether you think that's good or bad, it's undeniably true. He's not fading into the background, that's for sure. Alright, let's get into some personal quirks. And this one is pretty well known. Donald Trump is a self-professed germaphobe. He's not a fan of shaking hands, which, as you can imagine, can be a little awkward when you're a politician or a global figure who meets thousands of people. He's called handshaking barbaric and one of the curses of American society. He'd much rather avoid it if he could. You'd sometimes see him doing that quick, firm, pull-in handshake, maybe to get it over with faster, or using hand sanitizer frequently. He's been open about his concerns over germs for years, long before he was president. It makes you wonder how he navigated all those campaign trail meet and greets and international summits. It's one of those little details that adds a unique human element. Even powerful leaders have their phobias and pet peeves. No fist bumps for this guy, I guess. Ever wonder how some people get so much done? Well, in Donald Trump's case, part of the answer might be that he just doesn't sleep very much. He's famously claimed to only need about 4 to 5 hours of sleep per night. Sometimes even less, like 3 to 4. Wow! Most doctors recommend 7 to 8 hours for adults. I get 4 hours of sleep and I look like I've wrestled a badger. He sees more sleep as being counterproductive, even saying things like, how does somebody that sleeps 12 and 14 hours a day compete with someone that sleeps 3 or 4? He's an early riser and reportedly spends those pre-dawn hours reading newspapers and watching news channels. It's a high-energy, low-sleep lifestyle that he seems to thrive on. I need a nap just thinking about it. But hey, if it works for him, who are we to argue? More time for tweeting? The White House has a long and adorable history of presidential pets. Dogs, cats, birds, even some more exotic animals. But when Donald Trump moved in, there was one tradition he didn't continue. He was the first president in over 100 years not to have a pet in the White House. The last one before him was William McKinley, who left office in 1901, though some sources say Woodrow Wilson was the last one without a dog for a period. It's a bit of a fuzzy record, but Trump definitely broke a long streak of furry first friends. He reportedly said he just didn't have the time for a pet, and felt it would be phony for him to get one for political appearances. Some people were disappointed. Who doesn't love seeing a first dog frolicking on the White House lawn? But others respected his honesty. It's another little way he set himself apart from his predecessors. So, no Commander and Woof during his term. Fact number 34. Married 3 times. Ivana, Marla, and Melania. Let's talk about his personal life a bit more. Donald Trump has been married 3 times. His first wife was Ivana Zelníčková, a Czech model whom he married in 1977. They had 3 children together, Don Jr., Ivanka and Eric, and were a very high-profile power couple in the 80s, before a very public divorce in the early 90s. It was tabloid gold, folks. Then in 1993, he married Marla Maples, an actress with whom he'd had a well-publicized affair. They had 1 daughter, Tiffany, but that marriage also ended in divorce in 1999. And his third and current wife is Melania Naus, a Slovenian model, whom he married in 2005. They have 1 son together, Baron. So, 3 marriages each with its own chapter in the ongoing saga of Donald Trump. He's certainly had a colorful, romantic history that's kept the gossip columns busy for decades. Fact number 35. 5 kids, a whole Trump dynasty. So, from those 3 marriages, Donald Trump has a total of 5 children. That's quite a brood. With his first wife, Ivana, came the 3 eldest Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump, and Eric Trump. Many of you probably recognize them as they've been very involved in his businesses and his political career. They're often seen by his side and have become public figures in their own right. Then, with Marla Maples, came his daughter Tiffany Trump. And finally, with his current wife Melania, he has his youngest son, Barron Trump, who was just a kid when his dad became president. So that's Don Jr., Ivanka, Eric, Tiffany, and Barron. 5 kids spanning a pretty wide age range. It's a big family and they all play different roles in the Trump universe. Imagine those Thanksgiving dinners now, a whole new generation of Trumps running around. Fact number 36. Fast food fanatic, McDonald's and Diet Coke. What does a billionaire former president eat? You might imagine fancy 5-star gourmet meals every night. And while I'm sure he enjoys those too, Donald Trump is famously a huge fan of fast food. Yes, you heard that right. His go-to meal often includes items from McDonald's like a Big Mac or a Filet-O-Fish, and he absolutely loves Diet Coke. He reportedly used to have a button on his Oval Office desk to summon a butler with a Diet Coke. How cool is that? He's praised fast food for its consistency, and believe it or not, its cleanliness. He figures the big chains have high standards. He even once served a championship college football team a massive spread of McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King at the White House. It's one of those relatable, or perhaps surprising, quirks. While some people might raise an eyebrow at his diet, he seems to genuinely enjoy it. Pass the fries! Alright, speaking of food, here's a culinary controversy that once set the internet ablaze. How do you eat your pizza? With your hands, folding it New York style? Or with a knife and fork? Well, Donald Trump has been spotted on multiple occasions, most famously with Sarah Palin back in 2011, eating pizza with a knife and fork. Yes, a fork and knife. For pizza. Now, for many pizza purists, especially New Yorkers, this is practically a sacrilege. Pizza is finger food, but Trump defended his method, saying it's more comfortable or that he likes to eat the toppings first. Hey, to each his own, right? But it definitely sparked a lot of debate and countless memes. It's one of those funny little cultural clashes. So, if you ever share a pizza with him, don't be surprised if he reaches for the silverware. Just saying. Fact number 38. Fear of poisoning, anonymous food orders. So, this next one is a bit more serious and actually ties into his germophobia. Donald Trump reportedly has a long-standing fear of being poisoned. It's a concern he's apparently had for years. And because of this, he often prefers prepackaged food or meals from fast food chains where the preparation is more standardized and, well, less personal. He trusts the process more. It's also been reported that when he does order food, especially when traveling or from unfamiliar places, it's sometimes done anonymously or by aides to reduce any risk. It might sound extreme to some, but if you're a high-profile figure, maybe it's a precaution you take. It adds another layer to his preference for fast food. It's not just about taste, but also about a sense of safety and control over what he's eating. Pretty intense when you think about it. Well, fact number 39, movie star cameos, Home Alone 2 and more. Before The Apprentice made him a TV superstar, Donald Trump had already graced the silver screen and television in a surprising number of cameo appearances. He often played himself, the quintessential New York tycoon. He popped up in about 12 movies and TV shows. Remember that scene in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, where Kevin asks him for directions in the Plaza Hotel? Yep, that was him. He owned the Plaza at the time, so it made sense. He also appeared in Zoolander 2 Weeks Notice, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and even an episode of Sex and the City. It was usually just a quick line or two, a brief appearance that added a bit of New York flavor or celebrity sparkle. It shows he was never shy about being in the spotlight, even in small doses. Who knew he had an IMDb page as long as some character actors? Mr. Trump, you're ready for your close-up. Fact number 40, WWE Hall of Famer, can you smell what Trump is cooking? And for our final fact in this segment, get ready to rumble. Donald Trump is not just a businessman and a former president, he's also a WWE Hall of Famer. That's right folks, World Wrestling Entertainment. He was inducted into the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame in 2013. He has a long history with the WWE, hosting WrestleMania 4 and 5 at Trump Plaza in Atlantic City. And who can forget his Battle of the Billionaires storyline with WWE owner Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 23. Trump even got in the ring and shaved McMahon's head after his wrestler won. It was pure sports entertainment spectacle. His involvement with WWE showcased his showmanship and his ability to connect with a massive, passionate audience. So, add WWE Hall of Famer to his already very eclectic resume. What a world. That's a wrap! So what did you think? Woo! What a list, right? We covered a lot of ground there, from Flag Day birthdays to fast food habits, military school to movie cameos. It's clear that Donald Trump is a figure who has packed a lot of living and a lot of headlines into his years. He's a complex character, full of contradictions and surprises, and that's probably an understatement. There's always another layer to peel back, another story you haven't heard. Whether you admire his success or question his style, Donald Trump has shaped American culture and politics like few before him. From skyscrapers to the Senate floor, he's a figure that continues to stir headlines, spark debate, and keep everyone talking. And you know what? I bet there are still hundreds of facts out there we haven't even touched on yet. He's definitely never boring. You gotta give him that. So, out of all those wild facts, which one shocked you the most? Was it the pizza thing, the WWE Hall of Fame? Let us know in the comments below. I really want to hear what you guys think. And hey, if you had fun and learned something new, don't forget to like this video. Share it with your friends who might get a kick out of it. And definitely subscribe for more deep dives right here on NewsXstream. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.